What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, brother?
Not too much, man. How are you feeling?
Feeling good, man. Feeling pretty good. Not too
Uh,
bad. Can't complain.
well, congrats on your latest fight. It was a good fight.
Thank you.
I really liked what you did in between rounds when you said I dominate, I excite, and finish fights. So
Yes, sir.
what was that all about, man?
That was pretty much a I've been saying that I've done this over the manifestation. I've been manifesting that I feel like this whole camp something I feel like just changing through quarantine. I've been doing a little reading and doing a little mental, training stuff, because I couldn't train as much in the gym. And
Hmm.
I feel like I brought it over to my training when we started training in the gym again. And I feel like it's really mentally fortified my mind, so I do it like pretty much, and I've been doing it in my head for this. I just started this last camp, but I've been doing it like before the round starts. Like when I'm in the round and I feel like I'm slowing down or something. I do it when I'm running. When I'm tired. When I'm not feel like I'm not doing good or whatever. And yeah, I've been doing it. Yeah, this whole pretty much like 100 times a day. You know what I mean? So it was just something I've said to myself over and over and over again, and that was like maybe the first or second time I said it like out loud, and I feel like it really like turned on a switch, in my head. So
Well, that's great, man. And I think that's the aspect really does come into play. I mean, not just preparing for a fight, but yeah, just in the fight. Whether even if you're not losing the fight, but you just want to make sure, hey, I can't
yeah,
lose focus. I gotta drive through. I gotta get this guy out of here, and that you gotta do what you gotta do. And so it's really interesting because yeah, I don't see a lot of that during in between rounds. So it was really cool to kind of see something like that, and just to say that, hey, like I got this confidence, I can go in, I know I can win this fight. So that was really cool. I really enjoyed seeing that for
yeah. I
sure.
feel like too, like me saying that is also like it's almost like a promise to myself, and me saying it out loud was almost like, hey, you said this out loud. You don't be a bitch. You got to go out there and do it.
Now you kind of have to live up to expectation now.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, you was gonna do it. Go do it. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Yeah. So I do want to kind of touch more on that, but I guess I just want to kind of start from the beginning. So,
Yeah.
um, you're still living in Wisconsin, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Go ahead.
so you're still living in Wisconsin. Are you still training at the same place?
Yeah, I've trained at Rufus Sport
Okay.
under Duke Rufus and Daniel Wanderley.
Yeah, great. It's a great. That's a great training
Yeah,
facility.
we got
Uh,
so everybody pretty much is there, or especially like this camp, we had Sergio Pettis who was on the main, or he was the main event, and then
mhm,
we got Emmanuel Sanchez. He's also a Bellator. He's on the in the Bellator Grand Prix.
yeah.
We got a bunch of people: Anthony Pettis, Paul Felder, GM3, who's fighting this weekend against Ed Herman.
Hmm.
We got Bilal Muhammad. We got a lot of people. Um, yeah, just it's a lot of experience. Jordan Griffin, also, comes out of the gym. So I got a lot of good training partners: Christian Rodriguez, Brian Bautista. Um, I feel like we're a small gym, but it's like we got a lot of elite level. Like we don't have a lot of like off rounds in our gym. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I feel like it's really good for us.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things from that gym.
Macy
And
Barber also trains there.
is she really? I thought
Yeah,
she was in somewhere in Michigan.
Denver. She was in at Factory X for a while, but she's moved here this I want to say last year or so,
Oh, okay.
year and or maybe year or two or so, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds about right. Um, Yeah, so like I said, I just wanted to kind of start from the beginning here. So what drove you to get into MMA in the first place?
So I was a wrestler. I wrestled in college, and I ended up winning like two national championships in college. And so then afterwards, I was gonna trying to figure out if I wanted to do the Olympic route and go kind of wrestle overseas, wrestled on a world stage, and my one of my roommates, Josh Smith, and one of my teammates, TJ Hepburn, were doing MMA with Jens Pover. You know who Jens Pover is?
I don't.
Um, he is like the first. He's the first lightweight UFC champion of the world. So he was starting a gym in the place that I started, or the place I was wrestling, and so they asked me to come and just help out with wrestling, like some wrestling classes, help teach some wrestling classes. And I did the wrestling classes, and then they eventually got me to do some BJJ, and he got me to do some boxing, and then eventually got me to do some fighting.
Oh, that's good, man. That's great to hear. And I think you do kind of find a lot of guys that get into the MMA game already have a little bit of that outside experience, whether they have like a kickboxing career
Hmm.
or what wrestling background, and then they start to work with MMA guys, and they're like, hey, I think I could do this. Learn
Yeah,
how
and
to
it's and
throw
it's
kicks and
it's for
punches, and
me too. Like beginning it was like super fun. It was super fun for me because I was being able to learn like new ways to hurt people or
yeah,
like
yeah.
manipulate people. You know, it was like super fun to me. You know what I mean? Because I had done wrestling for so long, and not to say that I couldn't learn more in wrestling, but it was also like I was doing the same things in wrestling that were successful for me. I wasn't really, learning that much more. You know what I mean? Whereas in MMA, I had a vast amount of things that I could learn. You know what I mean? So that was super fun.
Right on, man. Now with that being said, when you got the call to Bellator, how was that process? Did you get any other offers from other organizations?
Yeah. So I was well, I was in a weird stage where um I was on the short list for the UFC, and I also had got contacted by ONE FC for a contract. But I forego, or I not denied it, but just like said no, pretty much. And then for the UFC, I was like, they told me I was on a short list, but every time a short notice opportunity would come along, sometimes they would tell me like I was too tough of an opponent for the person to take on short notice, or like they would the fighter would have the choice to like pick me or pick somebody else to fight or whatever, and most likely, or most of the time, I'm not the first choice people want to pick to fight. You know what I mean? So that was like, it was like slowing my, uh, I was being told over and over that I was like I was next. You know what I mean? But they would give the fighter a couple options, and I wouldn't be the first option, so I wouldn't, get the call. So I had went to I went to a fight with Emmanuel Sanchez, and I had cornered him against Tyron Claxton, and Big John McCartney, John McCarty. He had seen a grappling event that I had did a couple weeks prior, and he was like, "Hey, Raufeon, I seen that grappling event you did. Man, you looked amazing. Would love. I mean, when you gonna come over to Bellator?" Like joking around, or like just saying
Hmm.
it. And I was like, joking like, "Hey, man, whenever your people call my people, let's set it up." And then I, like, after the fight, Emmanuel won the fight when we back home, and then I seen how Emmanuel was treated while he was out there. And I had been to
Hmm.
a lot of UFC events. This was my first time cornering a Bellator event, and I liked the way he was being treated. So I went back home, and I was like, I just called my manager, just like to see maybe what my options were. I was like, hey, what about, you think we can give Bellator a call and see if we get an offer for them, or if they're interested in me, type of thing. And he was like, yeah, if you want, yeah, we can give him a call and see. And he gave him a call like a couple hours later or whatever. They hit him back, and gave me an offer that I was like crazy, or that was like exciting to me, and so then yeah, that was it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna sign with y'all.
Right on, man. So how many fights do you got on the contract?
So it was a 4-fight contract.
Okay.
Hmm.
So obviously you have 2 out of 4.
Yep.
So looking down at your success that you've had in Bellator, do you think that you're going to automatically get another re-signing? How do you look
Well,
at that?
the boss of the company said that I have a bright future in Bellator, so I would think that I would get another contract. Given I'm guessing we renegotiate after this next fight.
Hmm.
If I win, I guarantee, or I would I I have a strong inkling that I would get another contract, but who knows? But I mean, I would love it. I feel like I'm treated very well here, and I have no interest in going anywhere as of now.
That's good, man. And the whole idea about you were talking about how fighters are being treated. It's no secret. I don't want to crap on the UFC, but it's no secret that with the pay issues that they're having, and you've seen a lot of fighters like UFC fighters coming and transitioning to Bellator or ONE FC. For example, I mean Sergio Pes right there. That kind of guy like him. I mean, high level guy. But I mean, I think there's a reason why he moved to Bellator. And the fact that the sense I'm getting is that they're treating the fighters a lot better and paying them what they need to be paying them,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, as much as the Reebok it looks cool. It's
Yep.
not really putting the bread in the pocket, and
Yep.
it's not. These
You can
fighters have to do something to be able to make their, make their money, right? And
exactly. Exactly. And also the other thing is they put a lot of restrictions on those like those UFC contracts come with a lot of restrictions, you know what I mean? So it's a
mhm.
lot of stuff that's not, seen without behind the scenes, but and that was another reason I went over to Bellator too, cuz I'm teammates with Sergio. I know his grievances. I know, and he loved the UFC. He loved fighting for the UFC, but I know his grievances. I'm not, gonna disclose them, but that was another reason why I chose to go to Bellator.
Hmm. Yeah, and Bellator seems to be a lot more. It's just getting more and more fighters over there, and I hope that other organizations are seeing that and are going to follow suit. Um,
Hmm.
and I like what Bellator is doing. They're really expanding out with different fighters, and I like that they have an expansion of different weight classes, and I like how they're doing the whole Grand Prix, and
Yeah,
they're doing all these different
that was
tournaments, and I
another
and I
reason
like that.
was the Grand Prix. The Grand Prix shows to me that the Bellator cares about who's better over the politics of
Yes.
fighting. You know what I mean? And I feel like that. I mean, the politics in the UFC, are pretty detrimental to people's careers there, and I'm not really a politic guy, you know what I mean? I'm more of a, like, coming from the wrestling culture. I'm more of a you win, you move on in a tournament type of fighter, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like I can appreciate that, over whether a guy is, more savvy at making himself look cool. You know what I mean? So that was another reason why I chose Bellator.
Absolutely, man. So you've mentioned that you're having a hard time finding opponents, and you feel like that's kind of a good thing, knowing that, hey, like, people just don't want to fight you, or they're it's kind of showing that you're gaining a name for yourself.
Hmm.
Would you concur with that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that in itself, people pretty much denying to fight me is proof, that I pose some type of threat. You know what I mean? So in a sense it's like, okay, that's a win. You know what I mean? If you're scared to fight me, that's a win. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
don't need to prove anything in that situation. um but it's also like, I also like to fight, and I want to fight, and I want to fight people that are considered the best. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
it's a
Um,
catch-22. I feel like.
oh, absolutely. And what makes you a threat to the bantamweight division?
I think my fluidity in all aspects of the game, I feel like is tough. So it's tough for people to game plan or find like a direct path to victory. They can't see like if I was really good at striking, you would think that I'm really or I'm not as good grappling. So grappling would be the
Mm-hmm.
way, So there's like a clear path to beating me. Where me, I feel like I'm good. I wouldn't say well, I feel like I'm great, but actually I should just say that, manifestation. I'm great everywhere. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
killer in every facet. I'm a killer striker. I'm a killer wrestler, and I'm a killer grappler in jujitsu. So nobody wants to you know nobody wants to try to figure it out.
Right, right. And the thing that kind of gets me is when you see fighters and they're doing interviews or they're doing like the interview before their fight or when they get the fight going on or they'll talk about like they'll have like some kind of like insight on their life and they're talking about, well, yeah, I need to work on my ground game. And it's like you don't
Yeah.
say it's nice that
Yeah,
you're being
and
honest,
so
but
now
you probably
that's
shouldn't
one of the
tell
things
your opponent that.
I've been trying to like cut out of my vocabulary myself, because I was one of those persons, because I am very I want to keep improving, or whatever, but I also got to
100%.
realize the level I'm at is a beast level, and I'm a beast. You know what I mean? So I just got to keep affirming that. Affirmation, that's what I was trying to, I'm saying manifestation, but affirmations. I've been really big on affirmation, really big on being my biggest cheerleader, being my biggest fan. So I'm done second guessing myself, because that's carrying over to my fighting, that's carrying over to my life. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So like when I talk about myself, I'm not a cocky person, but I'm gonna be confident in the things that I do. Because I do what I do very well, and it's no reason, no use in me hiding that, or not saying that.
Right, right. And I mean, like you being on a 6 fight win streak now, do
I
you
think
have
it's seven now.
someone? I'm sorry?
Is it seven now, or is it six? Oh no, it is six. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
You're
I
right.
think it is 6.
Yeah.
So being on a 6 fight win streak, is there someone in mind that you would like to fight next?
So I would like to fight the Patsy or Juan Archuleta, but I see they're fighting. And I would like to fight Leandro Higo. I would like to fight Eduardo Dantes. Uh, there's anybody that's considered to be ranked in Bellator. I know we don't have ranking systems, but any of those, the toughest fights. I want the toughest fights in Bellator. That's what I want.
What about that James Gallagher?
Yeah, so I would have said his name before, but so I called out James Gallagher, or I didn't call him out. I just like made a post that I thought was funny. He
Yeah,
didn't think
I
it
think I
was
saw that.
he didn't think it was funny though. He but I called him out, but he like legitimately or like outright told me, "No, I do not want to fight you. I'll fight Sergio Pettis, but I will not sign a contract to fight you." So, I'm not a bully, I don't want to fight. I want to fight people who gonna put up a fight. And
Yeah.
I don't need, and he said, he's like, "You done clout chasing," and I'm not chasing clout. I'm chasing like good fights that are gonna set me up for the
Hmm.
bantamweight belt. You know what I mean? So and I don't need James Gallagher for the bantamweight belt. It's just he's below me in the rankings. You know what I mean? He's below me in the world rankings. Like I don't need you to fight. I was, maybe throwing you a bone to say if you wanted to fight because you're not in the mix, then I'd fight you. But he don't want that smoke at all, and I'm not interested in fighting people who are scared of fighting. You know what I mean? So I didn't call him out, or that's why I didn't say his name.
Yeah, he honestly, I think he's gotten a lot of crap from a lot of fans, like or fan like the fan base or people that on social media like telling him that he's like a McGregor wannabe, and literally like
Yeah,
everything
exactly.
he's
And
doing,
I didn't
it's
even
like
come
what?
at him for that. I ain't even come at him for that. I just seen if he wanted to fight, you know what I mean? I
Yeah,
didn't I'm not, knocking him or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just seeing if he wanted to fight. But
you
to
can't.
each their own.
I mean, someone can't. They can't fight you if they don't want to fight. If they don't want to fight
Exactly.
you, don't do
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. It don't make sense. I'm not gonna beat a dead horse, you know what I mean? I'm not a bully. I don't want to be a bully, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, and so you got a big resume of KOs and submissions. What do you prefer more?
man, I like knocking people out more. I feel like because it seems seems more dominating for some reason. But actually I don't I mean I feel like it was more exciting for me when I got knockouts. But I mean I love finishing. You know, finishing is definitely um you know uh the end goal. You know what I mean? I'd rather a finish than a unanimous decision, which I got a lot of unanimous decisions. You know, but I love each one of my finishes better. I want to say I like knocking somebody out cold is probably the best feeling for me. You
Yeah,
know, you know. But what's the name? Submissions are right up there with TKOs. Like TKOs and submissions, I feel like are pretty exciting for me.
right. Um, and I think like I don't know, like I know I had another guy on earlier, and he kind of mentioned how with knocking people out, it's it's good to get the finish, but it's like it's also like you don't for him you want to make sure the guy's okay, and sometimes it's you like
Yeah.
knock people out, but at the same time you want to make sure that guy's going home to his family
Yeah, for sure. No,
and
that's another catch of freaking MMA. You know what I mean? Because yeah, because I mean, even this guy that I fought last, like I felt like he's a good guy. You know what I mean? He's a family guy. And I seen that before. I seen he's a nice person. You know what I mean? So it's like it's hard, but you got to like make a disconnect, and you also got to like disconnect yourself from thinking about like, oh man, he's going through COVID and his family's. I'm taking money out of his family's pocket. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But you got to be kind of selfish, and you got to hurt this person. That's how MMA. I mean, MMA is is different from a lot of these sports. You know what I mean? So it's a part of it though. So I don't even know how to like justify it. It's just fucked up, but it is what it is.
Right on. What would you consider to be like your favorite and not so favorite moments of your career?
Um, Well, obviously, probably the one this long loss I have, because I got knocked out, and that's the first time I got knocked out. That's not the. I would say it's probably the worst, but I feel like it's the best for me. It was like medicine. I didn't like taking it, but it was what I needed at the time. So, when I got knocked out, it's probably the worst. When I got a knockout, it's probably the best. But also, yeah, just like that. So the one I got a head kick knockout. But the guy, rest in peace, William Joplin, he passed away from pancreatic cancer. And he was a good dude. He came to the fight with his grandma. And he was a good dude. He was always nice. And every time I seen him, I think I seen him at a UFC event afterwards. And he was like, we was buddy. He was super cool. And I knew him before the fight. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's probably the best and the worst. Or two knockouts, mine and the one I got.
Right. Um, and I think, like, speaking on that, do you think that every fighter should get knocked out or have that loss early in their career to know what it's like to get that loss and know, okay, now the weight's off my shoulder and now I know what it's like to lose. Now I know how to take that loss and stay hungry.
I don't think every fighter needs to or take it, but I think they they need they should understand. They should understand what comes with it. Um, or like be ready for it. Be ready and yeah, understand what comes with it. Cause I feel like, I mean, that could be one of the things that just makes a fighter fall apart, thinking they're invincible, and then turn, going and getting, knocked out, and then having to rearrange their whole thinking of themselves as a fighter. You know what I mean? I think every fighter should be aware of it. I don't think everybody should be knocked out to, that's kind of like the thing where like people should know the stove is hot because you tell them the stove is hot. Some people have to learn it on their own. You know what I mean? But I don't think everybody needs to burn themselves to realize that the stove is hot, or to realize that they need to uh or that they're not invincible. But I think it's something they should be aware of.
Right. Yeah, that would make sense. And it's unfortunate for people who stay undefeated for so long and then they have that devastating loss, and then it's hard to recover from that.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes whether they come back and they're better, or they come back and they're just never the same. Um, yeah, it's unfortunate that happens, but it's part of the game. It's part of the sport, and people just have to be aware that
Yeah,
there's risks coming and involved. So
exactly. Anthony Pettis told me one time that as fighters, and I forget who he said told him, but he said you should never believe how good people say you are, and you should never believe how bad people say you are. You know what I'm saying? So you should never, think you're like totally invincible, but also, you ain't, a shit pile. You know what I mean? So, uh, you should like act accordingly and train accordingly. Like, don't train like you're the best ever that can't be touched. You know what I mean? Same can be said about training like you're nothing. You should have confidence in yourself, and but I feel like that really stuck with me. He said it like shortly after, maybe shortly after I lost that fight.
right, okay. And just kind of move on to just one of the last questions here. So, obviously the bantamweight title is open. How do you feel about there being kind of like a tournament for that?
Man, that would be amazing. That's like best case scenario for me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
Would
I match up well with a lot of people, and we can make a lot of exciting fights. I think that's like best case scenario. I would love that, and that was one of the reasons I actually signed with Bellator too, is because I felt like the bantamweight division is one they haven't had a tournament for, and you can make a case that we have a lot of firepower.
Well, and that's what I love about like the bantamweight divisions in any organizations, that you guys are so quick and
So man,
fast. And you guys can go for 5 rounds. It's great.
yeah, for sure,
I
for sure.
mean, I think there's nothing wrong with watching the heavyweights go, because it's
It's
everyone's
gonna
got to swing for the
yeah,
with
it's gonna
everything
end
but the kitchen sink, and someone's gonna
devastating.
get knocked out, but you're gonna see that for like 1, 2 rounds, and then
Yeah,
it's slow motion.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but yeah, no, I do hope to see a tournament going on with the bantamweights. I know that Bellator just kind of started up again.
hmm
But I really do hope that we do see it. I mean, it was great what they did with the welterweight
yep,
and heavyweight. I think that was great.
yeah.
And it really, I think it's I don't want to use the word fair, but it is. It's very much like you work your way to, and
Yeah,
it kind of
exactly.
gives that
You
kind of what
earn
you're
what
mentioning.
you earn what you keep, or you keep what you earn. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Absolutely, absolutely. But man, I just want to thank you for coming on the podcast today. It was a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, no problem, man. No problem.
And I hope see you next fight, and good luck in your next bout.
Thank you. I appreciate it, brother.
All right, man. You take care.
All right, you too.